presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me.
Good afternoon and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capalid, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget, brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capalid.
Thank you, Dialect, and happy freaking New Year, everybody. It is 2016. If you're listening to this from the future, it was 2016. I'm so glad that you're tuning in this Sunday or whenever you're tuning in. And today we are going to be kicking off the new year with a 1-hour financial plan.
So if this is your time capsule episode,
Yes.
digital time capsule episode, this is what a 1-year financial plan looked like in the year of 2016.
Ooh. And if 1 hour isn't enough for you, we're actually going to be spending all of January going in depth on all the different parts of the financial plan and doing a 5-week financial plan. And if you really want more and really want to commit, the 5-week financial plan is going to lead into a 52-week financial plan email course. Because the thing is, an hour sounds nice. And, you know, we all want to see how quickly we can get things done. But when you're talking about changing your relationship with money and taking control of your finances, none of this happens overnight. And that is how it should be. Changing habits and changing your life is hard and it takes time. And we have to be a little nicer to ourselves in 2016, I think, or wherever in the future you are, and give ourselves some room to take some steps back while we move forward. I think that's really important to keep in mind throughout the rest of this year. That's one of my goals this year.
Yeah, you know, 2 steps forward and 2 steps back is how opposites attract.
Oh!
Right, that's what we're talking about?
I love it. Now we're dancing.
That's it, right?
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Paula.
Yo, no, but like, yeah, you should take it. Yeah, take a year. It sounds, just listening to you say that, I'm like, oh, jeez.
I know. That's
52
That's why
weeks.
it's not called the 1-year financial plan. It's called the 52-week financial plan.
Either
We're
way,
gonna
it's still
go in.
that's a lot of time, a lot of planning.
Yeah, but 52 weeks means it's just 52 different steps.
Sounds like if you don't take care of the 52-week financial plan, it will metastasize into a lifetime financial plan.
That might be the next step.
Lifetime
knows?
financial plan
But
on the next episode.
you know what? We're going to start with an hour. And today we're just going to talk about all the different components that you need to consider in a financial plan. This will be a really good checklist for you.
So we're just going to do this in an hour, or is this the financial plan, like just planning an hour of your life? Because I feel like I could do really good for an hour just not buying stuff.
You're totally right. Yeah, you're like on a no spending diet for an hour.
That might be a way.
I also was vegetarian for the last hour.
Right. Well, I was gonna say that might be a way to like start people off.
Yeah, there you go.
You know how for people who do want to go vegetarian, you know, you start out by taking your meat out of your diet, having like your meatless Wednesday and then meatless every other day.
So just don't spend money
Just don't
on
spend
Wednesdays.
money. You know what? Don't spend money this hour.
Yeah, there you go.
Right now.
Sit down with your cup of tea or coffee that you have in your house, and
or you stole from somebody.
Turn off your Amazon, or you stole from somebody.
Don't
that
steal
too.
tea.
Don't steal tea. It's not worth it. That's not part of the financial plan. So we are going to, for this month, we're going to be skipping investment appetizers and brunch breaks because we have a lot to cover. So pull out your paper, pull out your pen, pull out your iPad. We're going to go through all of the components you need to think about. And you might find as you're listening that you have a lot of this stuff in place, and it's just a matter of really fine-tuning everything. And that's really great too. So the 1-hour financial plan, here we go. It is basically 3 components: goals, guts, and glory.
Goals, guts, and glory.
Yes, we always start with goals. I know you've probably heard this ad nauseum, especially because it's just the beginning of the year and you hear about New Year's resolutions and things like that. But really, writing down your goals and knowing what they are very important. There's a certain way that you have to do it, though. And it's not just writing out a bunch of stuff and crossing your fingers and hoping the secret, happens through your brain.
No, you gotta do it in cursive, right?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta make it fancy. That's really what makes it work. And then we're gonna go through the guts, which is 5 different categories in earn, save, spend, invest, and protect. And then finally the glory. And the glory is how it all comes together. Because like I said, there's going to be a ton of info that we're going to go over. So how do we make all of this actually work together? How do you know what to start with? How do you know what you can push off for a little bit longer while you take care of the main priorities? So there you go. The 3 parts, goals, guts, and glory. So let's start with goals, because it's always my favorite part. And before we even go into goals, we got to talk about your money personality.
Uh-oh. Remember that, y'all?
Yes, the very first episode of Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio.
And many episodes since. If you're a regular listener, you know what we're talking about.
We reference it a lot because really the most important thing to changing your habits is recognizing what your tendencies are. Before you learn all the tips and try to implement all of them, you really have to know where you're coming from personally. And that's what the money personalities help you do.
Indubitably.
Indubitably. So the money personalities are saver, spender, worrier, avoider, amasser, and dialect's favorite, the money monk.
It's not my favorite. It's just what I is.
Yeah. So it's not. What's your favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I respect.
You like that you respect them all equally?
Come on, we're all just people with tendencies.
Very true. Very true.
Well, I mean, one thing about these money personalities to remember, because I know it's a lot. She just threw a whole bunch at you, and they're all different and disparate. But the thing to remember is that they are tendencies. And they all have relationships and reflections of each other.
Yes, absolutely. And just like any personality test that you take, it's really a matter of understanding more about yourself and not defining yourself.
It's not a value judgment at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And we all have a little bit of each one in each of us. And it's really just which ones we gravitate towards the most, whether it comes from our childhood or how we started dealing with money when we finally started making it and things like that. So examining your money personality is really important. One way you can figure out what yours is and read a little bit more about it is to go on brunchandbudget.com. And there is a place to take a money personality quiz if you don't have any background in it. Or you can just roll back time and listen to our very first show where I say a lot of ums and likes and all of that. Oof, it was rough, but we made it through. First show was great. But yeah, we started.
You made it through.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm still there.
You're still there. We started with money personalities as the very first show of Bonfire Radio because it is the most important thing that you need to figure out before you even move forward with any financial plan. And so once you figured out what your money personality is, then it's important to set goals. Ooh. Actually, in the studio, if you've ever been here, I'm staring at 3 giant pieces of paper that say goals, goals, goals on them.
Yeah, it's Conscious and Keisha's upcoming parody of Destiny's Child songs with positive messages.
Goals, goals, goals. Can you pay my goals? No.
No. Okay.
Can you reach your goals?
Can you reach your goals? And
can you reach your telephone
instead of that
goals?
song about needing a soldier, they need a teacher. I need a teacher.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's just all Destiny's Child with positive messages. This is something Conscious and Keisha are definitely doing.
I can't wait for
I'm
it.
just making up.
Definitely, 2016. It's all about Destiny's Child parodies. I can't wait. So, goals, goals, goals. The 2 parts that you have to think about is I feel like everyone knows how to write down, like, okay, these are the things I want to accomplish this year. I want to, be able to, lose some weight, run a mile, save some money, spend less money, all of this kind of stuff. And really, it's good to get all of that down. And I feel like the first step is to literally just free write, brainstorm all of the things that you actually think that you want to accomplish this year. And then you have to go back and look at the list and start prioritizing, okay, what are the top 5 or top 10 or top 15 things that you think you want to get done this year? And it's going to be a different number for everybody. It's really a matter of how big the goal is, how much time you feel like you can commit to all of it, and figuring out, okay, realistically in my life right now with everything that might go on this year, what can I actually get done and what can I start incorporating into my life? Because I feel like a lot of the goals that we end up writing down aren't just, I want to reach a certain number or I want to reach a certain milestone, but I want to incorporate a new habit into my life. And that's really what it all boils down to. So,
well, that's the real thing with goals, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Is really like building a habit and starting that. And
well, because in what we do here, I guess overall at Brunch and Budget, it's not about getting a thing.
Yeah.
Like when you have a goal
Right.
to get a thing, then you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
and then
different
you
when-
feel done and you just put it away.
Right. But in this instance, I mean, these all need to build on each other, and then you're getting to this goal so that it then becomes a regular thing. It's like a workout goal.
Yes, exactly. So just to take one of your goals, because it doesn't just stop there. So now you've prioritized it. You've kind of filtered out all of the stuff that was running through your head, all these things you thought you could get done. And you're like, okay, these are the things that I'm going to concentrate on in 2016. And then we talked about this a couple shows ago, actually, is that you need to turn your goals, which right now are results-based, into action-based goals. And so you might, let's just take, for example, fitness. You want to be able to run 3 miles a day. So what are
Not too hard. You can do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. I'm doing that right now, actually.
Yes,
I'm running with the mic around the studio.
Without breathing.
How many times?
Without taking deep breaths. It's great.
Yeah, no, that's how much of a pro I am.
And she has some really soft shoes.
I really do. I really do. So if you want to run 3 miles in one day, and I guess that feels like a lot. Like, the idea of just getting up and starting to run 3 miles a day is a lot. So your end goal is I want to be able to run 3 miles a day. But unlike a lot of people, if you're not dialect, I guess, who can just, like, run a half marathon without breaking a sweat and singing the whole time.
I broke a sweat.
A slight sweat.
I broke a sweat, and I stopped singing several times.
He definitely ran a half marathon in 2014 and sang the entire time and beat all of us. So if you're not dialect, then maybe running 3 miles a day is a little tougher to get to.
Clarification, so I don't have hundreds of marathoners jumping down my neck. By beat all of us, she means I beat her and our friends.
Yes, who were training for 10 weeks.
I didn't win the
marathon.
I don't want folks to think that I'm just saying that I Forrest Gump the whole thing.
That would have been crazy, though. So if you want to, for instance, do a goal like run 3 miles a day, you need to kind of break it down into more actionable steps. So you need to go through and say, okay, what are the different things that I need to do to get up to 3 a day? And how many times a week are you going to run to get to that goal? How long are you going to run to get to that goal? Are you going to need to buy a new pair of shoes? What are the other things you need to do to prepare to get you to that point? And are you going to give yourself a deadline? Are you saying, I want to be able to run 3 miles a day by the middle of the year, by the end of the year, in the next 3 months, and then work backwards from there to actually get to the point where you know exactly what action to take, and you're actually creating a little to-do list for yourself. So instead of feeling like this thing that's far away, you know exactly what you need to do every single day to get to that point.
You know, word to top from the bush, while you're doing your financial plan, goal setting, changing, you might as well do some workout stuff too. Because one thing about this workout stuff that is a lot easier, or feels a lot easier than the financial stuff is, with the workout thing, you're very in control.
Yes.
100% of how much you do.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so true. And you can do it for free. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Saving money costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking about, I put my goals together, put both of those at the same time.
Right.
And then if you have a success on the financial side, you do your workout. And if you have a failure on the side, you do your workout twice.
Is that going to be your reward and consequence?
Well, not consequence. It'll help you get the frustration out.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You're like, well, this I can control.
So basically, if you don't hit your financial goals, you'll get really fit.
Yeah, either way, right?
Either way, you'll save on doctor's bills or something.
Yes. That's really all it takes for you to not see the doctor is to be fit.
No, that's terrible. So basically, take your result-based goals and turn them into action steps that you can actually move towards it. So for instance, let's do a money one. If you wanted to save $1,000, let's say, by the end of the year.
So you start out with 50 crunches a day.
You could do that too.
We're doing this right?
Yeah, 50 crunches a day, and every time you do a crunch, you give yourself $1. I mean, think about it, though.
Oh, there's a good one.
Yeah.
That's actually, I dig that.
I like it, right? So $1,000 in a year is $20 a week. So again, break it down into smaller actionable steps. Can you set up an auto transfer to do $20 a week and have $1,000 by the end of the year?
$1,000 a year is $20 a week. That's great.
Yeah, right? Not too shabby. A little bit, it's like $1,040. Take yourself out to dinner in December.
That's an easy G, y'all.
That's an easy G. You don't even think about it. So set your goals. And after this song, we are going to go into the 5 different categories in the gut. So figure out what your money personality is. Figure out what your goals are. And give yourself an action step, to-do list, plan map, whatever you want to call it, for how you think what the things you need to do to get to these goals. And then we are going to go into the guts after this song. Earn, save, spend, invest, and protect. 1 hour financial plan on Brunch and Budget.
Yeah, reminds me of that Tupac song. I made a G today, but you made it in an easy way. Saving $20 a week for a year.
Oh, I love it.
Right? Isn't that? That's
how it goes, right?
That's not how it goes. But we are going to go to a song. Our first song is called Goals. But, goals, guts, glory. It's by Christoph of the Black Genesis crew out of Houston, Texas. Shout out to Houston.
Hey, yo.
Houston have some... Yeah, don't be sleeping on Houston's rap scene. We got to see their theater scene out there. It's pretty dope. But the rap scene is pretty nice, too. Check you in a minute. Not in a minute. This is Goals by Christoph from Black Genesis. Brunch and Budget. Bonfire Radio.
They call me Chris the Quiet, now I'm Chris the Riot. Stolen from the last verse, gold like a pirate. For now it's undecided, my goals are at its highest, but I think I'll attend the next Grammys uninvited. Like isn't he the nicest? My next goal is to get my driver's license and decipher how Wiz is higher than gas prices. When I do that, I'll probably act nicer. But don't diss me and make my eyes wider. Said my raps are misfired, and so is my attire. I still spit toxic and I'll spit till my health is dire. Put me in a casket with my friends and we'll cipher. That's what we call death freestyle. Word to the pod piper. Always ruthless, hold and spit toothless. Gold grills turn toothpicks. Friends that's more brutish than Brutus / Judas. I mean it when I do this. So darker than ghost ghoulish. Fake like poison tulips. I know I'm the coolest. No need to have to prove it. Just listen to my music or stay stuck stupid. I know I'm still improving, but I think I'm moving faster than all of these whack rappers that think they started a movement.
Got goals, got goals, got goals, got goals,
Yeah.
got goals,
Yeah.
got goals,
Yeah.
got goals,
Yo.
goals,
Sitting here drinking ginger ale, hair braided, waiting for my friends, man, I'm so patient. Whoops, misstatement, I meant impatient. Now I gotta drive to their house cause they basic. Maybe I'm the plainest, maybe I'm the strangest. Maybe I have posters of the Lakers in my basement. Did I say basement? I meant my attic. Searching through my toys, homeboy with a matchstick. Serious? No, this is drastic. Rolling through the city, eating bones of a catfish rabbit. Pretty flow like an actress. Looking for myself in the index of an atlas. Yeah, we the raddest, worse as bombastic. Studying scholastics, eating more cabbage than rappers that smoke savage. Putting cats in bags and leaving with no class like we ain't got class.
got goals, got goals, got goals, got goals,
Yeah, I'm tired, NSA got me wired. I'm probably gonna get fired, but this is what I desire. Really, my life's fire, my goals keep getting higher, and I don't see a reason of slowing down. Yeah.
That was Goals by Christoph from Black Genesis out of Houston, Texas. This is Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio. Happy Empowerment Sunday, everybody. Welcome to 2016. And today we're giving you a 1-hour financial plan.
Yes, we are. So we started with goals and money personality, and always start with goals. You have to know where you're going. Bottom line, you've heard this ad nauseum, but it's true.
Do you know your goals?
Yes.
Pay your telephone goals.
Oh, yeah.
Automo goals.
Can we do that song, please?
What? No, that's from the upcoming
Oh,
Conscious
wait,
and
yeah.
Keisha record.
I don't want to take that from them.
We can't take that from them. That's
We really
definitely
can't.
something they're doing.
I can't wait for
I'm going to
it.
start calling in to other bonfire shows and just talking to the other folks about, hey, are you excited about this Conscious and Keisha album? We're just going to make it a
We're
thing
gonna
to the
start
point where
singing the
every other show thinks that it's a thing that's happening.
I can't wait. I'm so pumped. Okay, so before that album comes out, though, we are going to go through a 1-hour financial plan. Guts. We are on the guts. Earn, save, spend, invest, and protect.
So after the goals, you get the guts.
After the goals, you get the guts. And the first one is earn. And I've said this multiple times on multiple shows that we don't spend enough time talking about how to increase your income. And that is the number one way to have financial success. And it's the part that feels the scariest to think about because it is the part that feels like it is not in your control.
Bing.
Yes, and this is where it's really, really important to do action-based goals along with your results-based goals because results are kind of also out of your control when it comes to income.
This is what I'm talking about with the workout thing.
Yeah.
So can we wrap real quick about action-based goals versus results-based goals?
Yeah, let's do it. So the thing is that you might want, as a result, like I want to have a 6-pack by the end of the year, right? I want to
Get that ground down the grocery store.
I want abs, 6-pack abs. You can go get a 6-pack of beer if you want. That could be your goal. But you want a 6-pack at the end of the year.
Or of milk.
Or of milk. Yeah, I'm sure they do that now somewhere. Nowhere does a 6-pack of milk. So 6-pack abs by the end of the year. And you don't get it. You do your action. You decide, okay, I'm going to do these things. And by the end of the year, you don't have your 6-pack. But your abs are super strong. You do have definition. Your health in general is overall better. Does that mean that you failed? Or on the money side, on the income side, if you say, I want to get 2 clients a month, for instance, and you take all the steps that you plan to take, you go to the networking meetings and you do all of these things on your list, and by the end of the year you have 23 clients instead of 24 clients. Have you failed? Does that mean that you failed?
Yeah, and that's looking at it in a results-based way.
Yes, exactly. But the action-based goals and having action-based goals means that you've actually created habits for yourself that who cares if you got 23 clients instead of 24? What about all the other stuff that came out of you going to networking meetings, getting better on social media, putting yourself out there, creating tons of content? You know, there's all of this stuff that happens with action-based goals that becomes a part of you.
Well, and honestly, I don't want to say the 23 out of 24 because there are plenty of times when we don't make our goals at all in terms of results.
Yeah, very true.
You get 3 clients when you wanted to get 24.
Yes.
Or you get a client when you wanted to get 24. When you talk about the workout thing, the thing that's not in control, that we're not in control of, aren't really the results. It's kind of the outcome that derives from the results. Because when you do all those crunches and sit-ups and work your core, you do get a stronger core.
Yeah.
But you have 0% control over how it's going to look on the front.
Yeah, that's
Like,
all genetics.
When you say genetics and all sorts of accidents of
Yeah.
nature, and when you say you want 6-pack abs, it's because you want to be able to show off the fact that you have this strong core.
Right.
You may, like you said, you may have like a little definition, or it may look like no different at all. It
Yeah.
might look no different at all, but you'll be healthier and stronger and happier. And I think that's the same in this case.
Yes.
Sometimes,
Totally agree.
you know, the idea you're doing might not be working. The time period you're doing it might not be working right yet. It might be a thing where people need to be aware of the fact that you're doing it for a while before anyone wants to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how it works in a number of industries.
Yeah, that's how it works in financial planning.
Where you're like one person or two people's consultant for a long time until
Yeah.
that bubble bursts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why you can't really focus on the results completely. You do have to look at them, you do have to track and measure certain things, but you can't let it dictate what you end up doing and continue to do.
Right, process-based thinking.
Yes, exactly. Well, and the only reason that you should look at the results is to examine, do I need to change my actions to get different results? These are not the results that I necessarily wanted to be getting.
All right, hear that.
Is there something I need to change? So this comes, especially when it comes to earning more income, is to focus on the things that you are doing on a regular basis to get there, because you are not going to see results right away. You're not going to see things happen overnight. But as you put these building blocks in place and you put these habits in place, then you will eventually figure something out, whether it's what you started doing or what you realized you had to start doing because you had a system and a process and a routine and you focused on your actions. And that's, I feel like, the biggest thing and the most important thing. So we talk a lot about having side hustles. We have shows on asking for raises. We have shows on how to set income goals in general, but earning is the very first thing that you need to think about when it comes to your financial plan. The next thing when it comes to earn is to actually maximize your tax situation. Taxes are something that we only think about once a year, or when we get a new job and we have to fill out these tax forms, or if you're self-employed, then you're kind of thinking about it in the back of your head because you're like, holy
always
crap.
terrified of it.
It's always thousands of dollars that you have to part with every year. But the thing is, taxes are something that you actually can control, and something that is often forgotten when it comes to financial planning as well. And when you think about your money, because you only want to think about it once a year, it feels like a chore that you have to do. But if you did some proactive planning throughout the year, then you could actually save a ton of money on taxes. The very first thing is, if you are an employee, find out what you are withholding. Now, if you like getting a big tax refund, then you should be withholding 0 on your tax, on your W-4 is what the form is called. So when you started working for an employer, you filled out a W-4 and you said, this is how much I want to withhold in taxes. And the lower the number, the more they're withholding from your paycheck, every single paycheck. But if you're like, you know what, I want to take a little bit more control over my finances, I feel like I'm going to have a lot of deductions this year, whatever, then it might make sense to increase your withholding and have a little more money in your pocket in savings to be able to pay down credit card debt and to just have a little more wiggle room in your budget. And that could be the difference between feeling like you're living paycheck to paycheck and feeling like you're regularly saving every single month.
And the funny thing with that is you're not actually changing how much you're making or having. It's just
exactly,
you're playing with the different pots.
Yes, and it again comes back to habits, because I feel like that people love getting the big tax refund, and what happens every year? It disappears. You don't know where it goes. You don't know where it went. You don't know where you spent the money on.
Or you have a whole plan for it. But
Yeah.
it's already gone
But
way
it's
before
already
you
gone.
get there.
Exactly. You pre-spent it. Yeah. Or you pay down credit card debt and then over the year it racks up again. And so it's this cycle. And so if you instead took a little bit more control over every dollar that you made and put a little bit of money away, again, you are building a habit. And even though your tax refund will be a little bit less at the end of the year, you actually have saved the same amount of money and developed an action-based habit at the same time. So consider that when your tax situation. And also, if your tax situation is more complicated than I have a W-2 and I don't own a home and I'm single, it might be worth it to actually see an accountant even for 1 year and find out if they find any money for you. Because accountants do this 24/7. No one expects you to know the tax code. And if you pay an accountant $100 to $200 for a year instead of paying TurboTax, I don't know, $50 or $80 or whatever you pay them, and not have to go through the hassle of going through TurboTax, which is a nightmare, then it might be worthwhile as well. And you might save a couple dollars going forward just by seeing an accountant once and talking to them about what they did for you. So those are the two components of earn: make more money and pay less taxes. Pretty simple, right?
Sounds easy to me.
Yeah. So the next part of the guts is saving. Saving. And the mantra that I want you to keep in your head throughout the year is pay yourself first.
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 Pay yourself
Pay yourself. No, for real though, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first, because this is something where I feel like that it takes away that feeling of living paycheck to paycheck as well. So a lot of people decide, and I do this myself, that you are going to put away whatever you have left over at the end of every paycheck, and you either spend all the money or that doesn't actually happen. It's much more difficult to think about putting money away at the end of something than at the beginning of something and getting to spend whatever you have left. So if you pay yourself first, and you literally pay yourself first, you put your money into a savings account, then at the beginning of every paycheck cycle, then the rest is yours and you can do whatever you want with that money. But it really is a matter of, okay, I'm going to take care of myself first. So the other side of it is, in terms of the saving, I feel like that the other thing that happens is a lot of people end up putting money into savings account and getting really pumped and really ambitious. They're like, I'm going to make this my year. This is going to be so great. I'm so ready. And they put away too much money, and it doesn't cover all of the things that they want to spend money on or need to spend money on, and they end up dipping into their savings, and that is psychologically demoralizing. And then you go through and you say, okay, I'm just not going to save anything. This clearly didn't work. And I feel like that's what you might end up telling yourself is, oh, this just doesn't work, fuck it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is you blame the plan.
Yeah, exactly. You blame the plan instead of, hey, maybe we need to think about this differently. So I'm a big proponent of actually having two different savings accounts. You have one that's for long term, and it's money that you don't touch at all, and it's a money that you feel comfortable putting away that is definitely extra in from your money that you're making. And then you have a short-term savings account, and your short-term savings account is, oh, I went a little over budget this month, or oh, I need to buy something that came outside of my budget, or oh, I want to do this extra thing this month. So there's money for that. And that's money, excuse me, and that's money that you can continuously dip into on a regular basis and not feel bad about it. That money is meant to be spent in the short term. It might not be spent every month, it might not be spent every day, but it's meant to be tapped into on a regular basis in the short term. That's why it's called your short-term savings account. And then you will have this money that you don't even think about tucked away for the long term. That is money that you know that you don't need to touch, and you're at the same time taking care of these little emergency-like things that come up on a regular basis. Because that's just what happens, people. It happens to all of us, where you're just like, oops, I went over my budget.
You take this a lot, talk about this a lot, but the day-to-day emergency fund is some profound stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely a game changer. And if you don't know how much to start with for either of them, you can start small. You can start with $50 a month for each, $100 a month for each, whatever you think you're comfortable with. The other thing, too, is if you figure out how much you spend on certain things, then you can put that amount away into your short-term savings account as well. So for instance, if you're like, I spend $150 every month shopping, you can put that away in your short-term savings and earmark that for shopping. And then when you go shopping, then you tap into that account instead of having it in this large pool of money. And if you don't spend all the money shopping one month, then awesome, you get to do more shopping next month. And you know that in your head. And so that's another way to think of your short-term savings account. The kind of milestones that are good to have in your head for how much to have in long-term savings is start with $1,000, hit the $1,000 milestone, no matter how quickly or how long you want to take to do it. And again, $20 a week will get you $1,000 in a year without even thinking about it. But hit the $1,000 milestone, and then the next step is go for 3 months worth of living expenses. And then after that, the ultimate is if you can have 6 months worth of living expenses in your long-term savings account.
Then you have won.
Yes, you have won. You have won the financial planning game. 6 months is a really good rule of thumb because it will usually cover if you want to quit your job, if you want to move, if you lose your job, if you want to make a big purchase like a car, if you want to save for a down payment on a home, then usually 6 months worth of living expenses covers most of that. And if you need to save a little bit more for some of those goals, you can. But 6 months is a good rule of thumb. So that is save. And I guess the real question next is, if you want to know exactly how much you can save every month, is spend. Figure out how much you actually spend every single month and work backwards from there when it comes to how much you know you can actually save. So I want to talk about spending a little bit. And we're gonna talk about that next week in more depth. But I feel like spending is one of those spending and budgeting and your expenses is one of these elusive parts about financial planning where you're like, I need to keep a budget. I don't want to track where every dollar goes. I wish I could just feel free about it. I don't want to feel restricted. I never know where the money goes. And a lot of this is just not being sure what you need to be aware of. So it's not even a lack of awareness, but there's so much to look at. How do you know where to start? And so the very first thing that I want you to start with is thinking about your money in terms of, I go through in my workshops with dialect, an urgent, important matrix.
The urgent, important matrix.
Yes.
The urgent, important matrix. It's an important matrix.
It's a pretty important matrix, yes. And it's commonly used in productivity to help you decide which tasks to prioritize. But it also actually can help you decide how you're spending your money and which spending to prioritize. So the 4 boxes, it is a matrix. So the 4 boxes are things that are urgent and important, things that are urgent but not important, things that are not urgent and not important, and things that are not urgent but important. And we're going to go into more depth on this in the next show. But the box that you really want to pay attention to when you think about your spending is, what kind of stuff am I spending money on that's not urgent or important? And this is the kind of stuff where you're like, I forgot that I spent money there, or I have no idea what that is actually. And to really start doing that, you need to put your money into some kind of system like mint.com. You need to figure out where your money is actually going as a first step. And when you look through these transactions and you literally just like take a couple hours, go to mint.com and just look through the transactions and take some time to categorize everything and see where the money is going. And if you find yourself having a hard time or being frustrated because you don't remember that you spent that money, then that is something to take note of as well. That's a level of awareness as well, knowing that, crap, I have no idea where my money went this month, and I don't recognize most of the things on this list.
Yeah, that's that stuff.
Yeah. So that's when you know maybe you're spending in a place where the stuff isn't urgent or isn't important, and that's kind of where the money is going. You know, if you're doing stuff like, spending $200 taking cabs every month and you didn't even realize it, and it's not actually something that's important to you to be able to do, that's an awareness thing. Again, and it's not a judgment thing. I use the word awareness because you shouldn't judge yourself in terms of where the money is going. It's more of, okay, now that I know where it's going, what can I do next?
Well, it's this kind of thing. It's like a food diary or anything you've done diary. Mm-hmm. It's not a valuation thing because it can't be a valuation thing. It's just a record of stuff you done did.
Yeah.
And if you're going to ascribe a good or a bad to it, you done did it, so...
Yeah, totally. It's over.
I know that's a easier said than done type of thing that I just said, but I'm saying it because it's the easy part.
And it's going to be hard to look at this, and it's going to be painful, and you are going to feel guilty, and there are going to be feelings of judgment. And I'm just telling you now that's going to be the reality because I went through the same thing, and that's what happened to me.
I'm doing it right now while I'm telling you not to do it in my head.
You're like, ooh, recoiling, mint.com.
Judging myself.
Constantly. It's okay, I am too.
She's constantly judging me.
I am. It's true. It's true. So spend is probably going to be the most difficult emotionally to think about. And just prepare yourself. Pour yourself a glass of wine. Have some delicious food in front of you. This is what Brunch and Budget is about too. It's about taking things that make you feel guilty and stressful and putting yourself in an environment where you can relax a little bit about it and take away some of the judgment. So when you prepare yourself for looking at this money, then put yourself in a situation where you will be the least judgmental to yourself as possible, and give yourself permission to take breaks and give yourself a deadline for finishing it so you don't have to think about it again. Because the thing is, when you do something, when you finally get something done that you hate doing or was not looking forward to doing, then it's done and you never have to think about it again. And it's something that probably has been weighing on you for a really long time. So get this done. It's a very important component. And then when you're done earning and saving and spending and you have all of that together, the next step is to actually invest your money. Woo, investing, another scary unknown, I feel like, for a lot of people.
But it's scary because people think that it means one thing when it means a number of things.
Yes, it can mean a number of things. So for a lot of people, it usually means I have to pick stock and I have to understand everything about the stock market and I have to be an expert at this.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Spend less, save more. Eat less, exercise more. All of that kind.
We're done.
That's it. It's over. Happy New Year. So the thing with investing is you might already be doing it and you don't know it. If you have a 401k or a 403b with your company or your organization, then your money is invested in the stock market. And it is being invested most likely, if it's not just sitting in cash, it's being invested by a professional money manager in a mutual fund or, some kind of portfolio that you chose or your company chose for you. And it is in the market and it is dealing with the ups and downs and volatility and highs and lows of the market. The other way to do it is to actually consider opening an IRA, whether Roth or traditional. And we've gone over a lot of this stuff in the investment appetizers at the beginning of the Brunch and Budget shows over the last year. So take a listen to even just like the first 15 minutes of each show if you want to really get an idea of, hey, I need some background on investing and I don't know where to start. So the thing with investing is that you just need to start somewhere. So even if it really is, I'm going to open a Roth IRA and put $25 a month towards it or $100 a month towards it, as long as you're also saving liquid cash, then this is something you can do at the same time. And you can choose, there's lots of options out there now, like robo-advisors, like Wealthfront and Betterment, if you want to have someone actually professionally manage it for you for really cheaply.
Don't be afraid of the robo-advisor, Wealthfront, and Betterment. It's just that it's advising done by an algorithm. It's not an actual robot.
It's not an actual robot. And there's actual people creating the algorithm behind it. Robo-advisor is kind of the derogatory term that the financial industry has created for places like Wealthfront and Betterment because they are afraid, basically, that Wealthfront and Betterment will overtake their investment portfolios. So the way that it works is advisors actually make money off of managing your portfolio, and they usually make between 1% and 2% of every dollar in your portfolio, which can add up pretty quickly, especially if you have a lot of money in there. And that's how they basically become wealthy themselves. And Wealthfront and Betterment have been able to drastically reduce the fees that they charge. Instead of 1%, they're charging 0.25%, and they are delivering, comparable performance. It might not be as much. It might not be exactly customized, but for someone who doesn't have $250,000 to invest, you probably don't need it to be that customized, honestly. So this is, robo-advisor is just saying, like, there's no humans back there, but there is, and I have my money in Wealthfront, so hey-o. So that's a really easy way to actually start investing, and we're definitely going to go more in depth on that if you want more information a couple shows from now. But dang, it's 2:42 dialect.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should go to another song, maybe?
I guess so. So we got the goal song in. What's the Guts song?
Guts is a hip-hop band from España.
Oh, hey-o.
And they've got a song called As the World Turns, featuring dope MCs Rod Digger and Akia Naru. So check that out. See you in a minute. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Yeah, Guts on the beats. It's crazy out here. Digger, it's your girl Digger. Naru, air it out. One time. Get your life, people. Ha! You say you love life, but life don't love you back. That's why people in their 20s having heart attacks with no insurance, no endurance. There's no cure for that. Problems we facing can't be solved by any bureaucrat. It's more subliminal, yup. It's more criminal. It's more obstacles that keep you from your pinnacle. Little kids used to know that I have a dream speech. All the things King preach, now they think they big meech. Yep, I said it. The ratchet is embedded. The right
steady indebted. Cash rules state of mind in a world ran by credit. It's hard to go to work, much easier to jokes. Rich dad, poor dad, guess we never read that book. They stopping and they frisking, hope they let them off the hook. Jail make crooks better people, or make people better crooks. What's wrong with this world that we living in? When our leaders in the streets, they be killing them. What happened to my rights as a citizen? Trust that the system ain't coincidence. Yo, every crowd gather round with chalk outline the ground. 44 rounds echo the sound. Black and brown now. Another mother cry. Who gon' sing that lullaby? Songs in the key of life. Even Stevie wonder why. Streets where the sirens cry. Weep another brother died. Spirit screaming from the other side. Who the next in line? We used to riot Huey. Grubby inspire enemies of empires. 3/5 of men liars. Sold the myth and they lie it to maintain a tame lions. Keep the power divided from robbers to Rikers Island. Speak truth, be met with violence. Assured of full silence like the death of the cowards whose spirit don't walk beside us now. Destroy the leadership, see how lost the people get. Media, microchips and speakers was on every hit. Let every eye watch the science on these time clocks. Back when hip hop was CNN or the block. What's wrong with this world that we living in? When our leaders in the streets, they be killing them. What happened to my rights as a citizen? Trust that the system ain't coincidence. Why it's always a fight for my dividends? Check the check just to pay the rent. Why it's always a problem when I mention it? This world we living in, this world we living in. What's up, world? It's the midwife for Ku and I rule live and in the building. With guts on the beats, hip hop after all. You know what it is. Stay tuned. This world we living in. This world we living in. This world we living in. Lord. This world we living in. This world we living in. This world we living in. As the world turns. You heard?
And we're back. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was Guts
Guts.
from out of Ibiza, España, with Rod Digga, Akia Naru. Talking about some real stuff.
As the world turns, I love it. I love it.
From the album Hip Hop After All,
Oh, cool.
which sounds like a great
Hip-hop
R&B
after
ballad.
all.
And I found hip hop after all.
No. Is that going to be the bonus track on Keisha Unconscious's Destiny's Child album?
Hip hop after all.
Is that going to be featuring dialect?
I'm not on that. Come on, I can't do that.
I just heard you do it. It sounded just fine.
No, that was actually a sample of Conscious singing that I just played.
Wow. Came right out of your throat. It was amazing.
He's a great.
It sounded great. I can't wait. I'm so excited for the album to drop. So the last part of the guts is, so we went through earning, saving, spending, and investing. And
Right.
finally, you have to protect your money. And part of this comes in the form of insurance. So insurance is also one of these things where it feels like you either have to get everything or you'll never have enough, and everyone's trying to sell you something. And a lot of the industry honestly is kind of like that, but there are certain types of insurance that you need in certain situations. So the first one is health insurance. And yes, you need it. I know there's a lot of people who try and go without it, but if you can get health insurance, you get it through your employer, or now there's as we all know, the healthcare exchanges through Obamacare. So insurance is still quite expensive right now, but if you make under a certain amount of money, you can qualify for subsidies. You can qualify for Medicaid or essential care plans, and the process to actually get the insurance is much easier than it ever was before Obamacare. So I highly recommend looking into it. If it's not something you can afford this year, it might be something to think about for next year, especially because the tax penalties for not having insurance are going up every single year, to the point where it is actually cheaper to just get insurance. So health insurance, definitely consider it. That's a big priority to make room in your budget for. And then disability insurance is actually something that we don't spend a lot of time thinking about, but disability insurance actually protects your ability to earn income. And that is really your bread and butter, literally. So disability insurance will actually pay out if you can't do your job within 30 days or 90 days or 180 days, however long you pick for the policy to
Like
kick
physically,
in.
not like you're unqualified for it.
Oh yes, yeah. You physically can't do your job, exactly. Not that you just like were bad at your job.
You can't just like go and be a lawyer and be like, oh, I don't know how to be a lawyer and go on disability for being a lawyer.
You have to be disabled. Yes, exactly. As the name implies, you can't.
You can't just
Thank
go.
you for clarifying dialect.
Well, you know, some people might listen and be like, I'm gonna go get a job I can't do.
And then go on disability.
You go on disability. All right, you know.
Oh man, that is not how it works.
I'm gonna get a job as a levitator.
That's a job?
I can't. Someone will pay you to levitate, right? And be like,
Maybe.
I can't actually levitate.
From The Crow, is that what that movie
So,
was?
what?
No.
The
Wait.
Crow.
What movie am I thinking of? I don't know anymore. I lost it. So disability, yes. You have to have been able to perform the job, and then something happens where you can't perform the job any longer, and then you can go on disability.
Don't be a levitator if you can't. float.
Yeah, just don't even try it. So, disability insurance can be really expensive, but it can also be really inexpensive. If you're a freelancer or have any kind of side income, Freelancers Union actually has a really great basic disability policy. I'm on it right now. It costs $15 a month if you're 30 years old, a little bit more if you're a little bit older, a little bit less if you're a little bit younger. So, that's a way to cover 60% of your income essentially. So you can apply for up to 60% of your income, and your disability is tax-free if you have to go into it. So disability insurance can be really inexpensive and something that you should definitely add to your budget. The other insurance that you need to think about is property and casualty insurance. We've done one show on it, I think, with an actual property and casualty agent who shared her expertise about the type of insurance that you do need. And you should definitely have, I mean, if you have a car, you should have auto because you're required to by law. If you have a home, you're required to have homeowner's insurance. But the one thing that I feel like most people don't think about is having renter's insurance. And renter's insurance is so cheap and will protect so much. It will protect all of your stuff for $20 a month. So especially if you live in New York, especially if you live in a big city, and if you live in an apartment building, that's out of your control what happens in other apartment buildings, but the damage that can happen in yours because of what people do in theirs is something that you are actually responsible for. The landlord is not responsible for any damage to the stuff in your apartment. So consider getting renter's insurance. If you need a referral, Jason Pappas of Queen City RM is awesome for New York and New York-based places. At the most, I would lean towards going towards independent brokers. So the final insurance to think about is life insurance. And we're going to spend a lot more time on insurance in future shows in terms of what you need when you need it. But life insurance, if you have kids, very much consider getting life insurance when they are young. And all you need is a term policy. It's like $300 to $1,000 a year for, $250,000 to $1 million of coverage, and you can basically protect your loved ones in the case that something were to happen to you, and you, as possibly the sole breadwinner of the house or an income source in the house, were gone. So life insurance is definitely something to consider if you have kids. We'll talk about other times you need to consider life insurance a few weeks from now, but those are the different insurances you need. And then finally, estate planning. So estate planning is not just for people who have big estates. It is for everyone. And there are different parts of an estate plan that you need or don't need. One of them is a will. Will is probably the first thing that you think about when you think of an estate plan. And not everyone needs one. You really need one if you have kids because you have to name guardians. And you also need one if you have significant assets that are outside of your retirement accounts. So... yeah, so if you have a house or if you have a big investment account that isn't in an IRA, then you need a will because you need to direct who those assets are going to go to if you die. Or I guess when you die. I guess it's not a question of if necessarily. So the will is something to consider putting together. You might not need to do it now, but you will need to do it eventually. Healthcare proxy is something that everyone needs. It's super free and it's really easy to fill out. Just go to Google and Google your state plus healthcare proxy, and every state has a free form for you to fill out. You usually need 2 witnesses. Name someone who you want to speak on your behalf in case something were to happen to you. and you couldn't speak for yourself when it comes to healthcare stuff. That is what a healthcare proxy is for. So those are probably the two big estate planning things to think about. We'll go into much more depth on them in future shows, but everyone needs a healthcare proxy. Everyone. And so we are finally going to round out this show with the glory. And the glory is really putting it all together. So there are 3 ways that I want you to think of this stuff. So I hope you took a bunch of notes. Over the next month, we'll give you more notes to take. But as you're prioritizing this stuff, it's not necessarily a matter of which one should I do first, but which ones do you have capacity for in your brain? So I want you to think of these in 3 different categories. Either the task is a quick win, it's a big win, or it's an ongoing victory. So quick wins are things that you can knock out quickly. So if you're looking at your spending, can you cut cable? Can you dispute a charge? Can you get renter's insurance? That's a quick win. And that's the kind of stuff where you're like, awesome, I have, 15 minutes right now, I have 20 minutes right now. I'm going to knock out something in my financial plan and I'm going to cross it off my list. Then you have big wins, and this is the stuff that is mentally and emotionally draining, but once it's done, you feel so much better that it's done. So I know that when Dialect and I had to draw up our own estate planning documents because we bought a house, that was a big asset for us, that getting those wills done and getting those wills in place was such a huge relief for both of us to get that done. It's something that we had put off a little bit. We were trying to decide if we really needed it. And in the end, we decided that yes, we really need to have this kind of stuff set up. Because what if something were to happen to both of us?
Exactly.
So getting that stuff out of the way, and it's usually stuff that you don't want to think about because it has to do with you getting sick or dying, and it feels like something you can push off because it doesn't feel urgent. Those are the big wins. And when you finally get those done, you can stop thinking about them and stop worrying about them. And that is the best feeling in the world. So those are the big wins. And then you have your ongoing victories. And these are the things that are going to be the foundation of your financial plan and also of your financial future in a lot of ways. So these are the habits that you're forming now that are going to help you reach your goals faster and are going to help you start to shape what your financial future looks like. And those are things like saving on a regular basis, being more aware of your spending, deciding if you want to work with an accountant, paying attention to where your money is going on a more regular basis. And also understanding your values is part of the ongoing victory as well. So one thing that we don't actually spend enough time talking about, I feel like, is what aspect of your financial plan is you giving back. And I feel like there's a lot of things where we focus a lot on, okay, what do I need to do for myself? But when you get to that point where, and I feel like that a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to give back eventually, or when I have more money, I'm going to give back. I'm going to start donating. I'm going to do all these things. But really, it doesn't take much to donate to a cause you believe in or to volunteer at an event and make that a regular part of your life. And you can start doing that now. So if that's something that you value,
and if you wait to give back, you're never really going to give what you think you should or what you want to.
Exactly. So if that's something that you value as well, then integrating that into your financial plan is also an ongoing victory. And ongoing victories are really, what kinds of things do I value that I want to include in my financial life? And so this is the most important part and the most long-term part of your financial plan. It is the process. It is the part that is going to stay with you, whether good or bad, throughout your financial life. So quick wins, big wins, and ongoing victories leads to the glory. And I believe we have a glorious song for the end of it. But thank you all for tuning in this week. If you are listening on iTunes, we would really appreciate it if you left a review and told us what you thought about the show. And if you aren't listening on iTunes, it'd be great if you could subscribe. This is how iTunes is actually the best way to help more people find us in podcast land. So if you are listening on iTunes or you are listening by other means, please subscribe. Please leave us a note. We love to read reviews. And thanks so much. Dialect, take us out.
Yeah, say stuff about us on web-related social things, specifically on iTunes. We're leaving you out with Emotions by Glory. This is a Long Beach, Cali rap crew from their 2000 release. Yeah, this is a classic, From the Outside Looking In. So you finish you off with the emotions from Glory. Check you next week where we talk more about how to get your 2-hour financial plan. Check you.
Baby
Bunch
steps.
of budget. Bonfire ready. Peace.
Sometimes I'm wondering if I had no control at all. I used to wonder, yo, if my ex-girl would ever call. My crew was on the rise, without filling my mind with fall. Not getting left off of a ride, cause you ain't gay tall. We all need love and we all carry pain. But for some reason the strain hurts more when it rains. So who to blame? These feelings got me feeling insane, feeling ashamed. It throbs so hard, I think my mom's feel the pain. People constantly ask why you in it for fame. But I said a reply with the side, say, yo, you know the name. It's Giuliano the Great. Shall I proceed? Guaranteed satisfaction, I give the crowd what they need. Open my cafes, yo, full of weed. Trying to find my way to the stage, man, I can't even breathe. Asthmatic wheezing keeps my heart beating. It almost stopped once I heard my girlie say, I'm leaving. What am I to do? Yo, I was grieving. What about my crew? Oh, I'll check it. Sometimes I get retarded when I stare up hard at the stars and then a part of me comes tumbling down. Wow. We're just four different individuals who practice living by your principles instead of earthly bound materials.
As this world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotion, it makes you sad sometimes. Emotion, it makes you glad sometimes. As this world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotion, it makes you sad sometimes. Emotion, it makes you glad sometimes.
Emotions are running high, and at times we can sympathize with the method of running high. But this crew seems to know no compromise. We set our sights on Christ, hold positions like satellites, and strike the mics until we get by. Sending a definite type of energy with a minimum high. Ministers finna a fight with the synonyms, killing the strife. Getting it in and breathing it life. Giving a minute and you'll be seeing the light. Swimming in a sea of sentences will leave me be science and light. Men on the heights for minds, digging underneath the surface for the purpose of finding treasure like island smiling. While we cutting up the tracks with the sharpest of knives. While we fulfilling our dreams like pipes. Brains are at a boiling point like Wesley Snipes. Stimulated by the chemical reaction off what we write. Attended to definitive from beginning to the end of the bit, that's what we like. Kicking grammar, gigabyte, prototype, copyright, manufactured to minimize the sound of the synthesized. This is the sound of the celestial mind. And though at times we might fall, we all bound to climb.
As the world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotion, it makes you sad sometimes. Emotion, it makes you glad sometimes. As the world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotion, it makes you sad sometimes. Emotion, it makes it glad sometimes.
Thin lines between love and hate, thin lines between my mental state. Kept pretending to hold my breath before I calmly act irate. I was like so confused when it came to the path to choose, and I refused to be used and abused by the thoughts of Anthony Cruz. Never born to lose, but I built that from within. Ask my friends, I swore I loved God, but infatuated with sin. I was loving calamity, peaceful in insanity. My brain cavity taught my flesh to live in vanity. Oh no, it cannot be. I go back and talk to me and walk with me through the illusion of life. Now I appear to be this virility. Silly me to think that this was my epitome. That was asinine, foolish and stupidity. To the end of me, I press on, receive my destiny, while all of y'all be falling to the right and to the left of me like rose pedal to the dirt. Death wait with no light. Glory holds it down to keep the tight. The greatest sunshine high.
As the world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotions, they make you sad sometimes. Emotions, it makes it glad sometimes. As the world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotions, they make you sad sometimes. Emotions, it makes it glad sometimes. As the world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotions, they make you sad sometimes. Emotions, it makes it glad sometimes. As the world turns, seems like we all fall down, face to face with the ground. Love is nowhere to be found. Emotions.